You are 11 years old, and you have just made $6 in 40 minutes. Not from chores, not from your parents, from a bag of mixed candy you bought at the dollar store on the way to school. You spent $2. You sold each piece for 25 cents. By the time the lunch bell rang, you had $6 in your pocket. You sat with that for a moment. $2 in, $6 out. That is 3 times your money in 40 minutes without doing anything except walking around with a bag of candy. You are 11 years old, and you have just discovered something that most adults never fully understand. The difference between working for money and making money work for you. You go back to the dollar store after school. You spend all $6, 3 bags of candy. The next day, you sell all 3 bags, $18. You spend 12, 6 bags. The day after that, you have $36. You do not spend it all at once. You think about it first. You sit at your kitchen table with $36 spread out in front of you. You are 11 years old, and you are doing math that most people your age have never done. Not school math, real math. The math of how money multiplies when you respect it. You buy more candy. You expand the selection, not just mixed candy anymore. Chips, gum, small drinks. You study what sells fast and what sits. You notice that the spicy chips go first. You notice that the sour candy disappears before the chocolate. You are doing market research. You do not have a word for it yet, but that is exactly what you are doing. By the end of the first month, you are clearing between $80 and $100 in profit every single week as an 11-year-old. Then your teacher finds out. She confiscates everything. She calls your parents. She says this is not allowed at school. You sit in the principal's office and you listen to the lecture about rules and appropriate behavior. You nod. You apologize. And on the inside, you are already thinking about where else you can set up. The park, the neighborhood, weekends. The school was not the business. The school was just the first location. You pivot. You move the operation to the block outside your building on weekend afternoons. You set up near the basketball court where kids gather. You charge the same prices. The same things sell. Spicy chips, sour candy, cold drinks in the summer. By summer, you are making more than you were making at school. Because weekends are longer than lunch periods. And the basketball court draws more people than a single classroom hallway. You are 12 now. You have been doing this for almost a year. You have a system. You have a route. You have regulars. Kids who come looking for you specifically because they know what you carry and they know you will have it. That is called a loyal customer base. You still do not have a word for it, but you understand it completely. At 13, something shifts. You're thinking about the business. You start writing things down. Not a diary, a notebook full of numbers. What you bought, what you sold, what the margin was, which products moved fastest, which days were best, which locations produced more than others. You are 13 years old keeping a profit and loss ledger. You did not learn this at school. You taught it to yourself because the money required it. At 14, a cousin comes to visit for the summer. He is 17. He thinks your candy business is funny. He calls it cute. He says real money does not come from candy. You show him the notebook. He goes quiet. He asks if he can work with you. You think about it for 3 days, then you tell him yes, on one condition. He follows your system exactly. Your prices, your locations, your schedule. He agrees. Now you have 2 operators. You double the coverage. You double the volume. Your profit that summer is 4 times what it was the summer before. Not because you worked harder, because you duplicated the system. That lesson lands differently than any lesson school ever taught you. At 15, you move beyond candy. Not away from it, beyond it. You get into event promotion. Small things at first. A neighborhood gathering in the park. You charge $2 entry. You sell food. You split the profits with the friend who helped you set it up. The first event makes $60. Not impressive, but it teaches you something candy never could. Events are different from products. With candy, you sell something people already want. With events, you create something people want to come to. You create the demand instead of just serving it. You run 3 more events that year, each one bigger than the last. Each one teaching you something the previous one did not. At 16, you are running events and still running the candy and snack operation with 2 other people helping you. You are 16 years old managing 2 revenue streams and 2 people. You are also failing 2 classes because school feels like it is moving in the wrong direction from where you are going. Your parents sit you down. They tell you school comes first. You understand why they say this. You also know something they do not know yet. You are already running a real business. You focus enough to pass your classes. You keep running the business. Both things at the same time. At 17, you get your first official business license. Not because you planned to, because a venue owner asked to see it before he would let you book his space for an event. You got the license in 4 days. You booked the venue. The event was the biggest you had run. 200 people, $1,200 in revenue, $600 profit after expenses. In one night. You were 17. At 18, you graduate high school, not at the top of your class. In the middle, which is fine. Because what you have built in 7 years of candy and events and notebooks full of numbers is worth more than any grade. You have a business, a real one, with a license and a track record and people who work for you. You go to community college for 1 semester. You take a business class. The professor talks about concepts you learned when you were 11, supply and demand, profit margins, market research. You sit in the classroom and you nod politely. You already know all of this. You learned it from a $2 bag of candy. You leave community college after 1 semester. Not because you are giving up on learning. Because the classroom is teaching you things you already know and the street is teaching you things no classroom covers. At 19, you go full-time. Events. Merch. A small resale operation on the side buying and flipping limited sneakers and streetwear. 3 streams. All of them connected to the same core understanding you developed at 11. Find something people want. Get it to them. Charge correctly. Reinvest everything. Year 1 full-time revenue, $91,000. You are 19. Year 2 you hire 3 people. You move into a small office. You are not playing anymore. This is a company. Year 3, you land your first corporate event contract. A local company needs someone to run their annual employee celebration. They found you through someone who had been to one of your neighborhood events 3 years earlier. That connection was worth $40,000. Year 3 revenue, $240,000. Year 4, you open a small merchandise operation. Custom apparel. Branded items for local sports leagues, schools, small businesses. Things you can produce at volume and deliver quickly. Year 4 revenue, $480,000. You are 23. Year 5 something happens that changes the scale entirely. A regional music festival is looking for a local event production company. They want someone who knows the market, someone with a track record, someone who can execute without being babysat. You pitch them, not with a fancy presentation, with the notebook, not the original one, a professional version. 7 years of documented events, every one, revenue, expenses, attendance, lessons learned. The festival team reads through it in the meeting. One of them says they have never seen documentation like this from a company your size. You tell them you have been keeping records since you were 13. They give you the contract. Year 5 revenue, $1.1 million. You are 24, the $1 million year, the one you had been building towards since the dollar store. But here is the thing about the $1 million year that surprises you. It does not feel like arrival. It feels like confirmation. Confirmation that the system was always right. That the 11-year-old with the candy bag was not playing. He was building. Every piece of candy sold was a data point. Every notebook entry was a business education. Every location change and product pivot and summer expansion was strategy. He just did not have the vocabulary for it yet. Year 6, you acquire a small event rental company. Tables, chairs, tents, audio equipment. Not because you needed more to do, because you were paying someone else for these things at every event and that cost was eating your margin. You brought it in-house. Year 6 revenue, $1.8 million. Year 7, you get approached by a private equity firm. They have been watching your growth, they want to invest. You bring in a lawyer, you bring in a financial advisor. You spend 3 months understanding what the investment means before you sign anything. You learned that patience from the dollar store. When you had $6 and you sat with it before deciding what to do next, the deal closes. The investment values your company at $8 million. You retain majority ownership, you take a small amount of liquidity. Enough to buy your mother a house. That was always the number. Not 8 million, the house. Everything from the dollar store to the private equity firm was about getting to the point where you could buy your mother a house. You sit in the kitchen of the house you bought her. The same kind of kitchen where you once spread $36 across the table and did math that most people never do. She makes coffee. You sit across from each other. She asks how you feel. You think about the question for a moment. You feel like an 11-year-old who never stopped. Who never stopped selling. Who never stopped learning. Who never stopped writing things down. Who never stopped believing that the system was real and the system was working, even when the amounts were too small for anyone else to take seriously. The candy was never the point. The candy was the classroom. You just happened to go to class for 20 years without ever sitting down. If this story made you think differently about money, hit subscribe. It takes 1 second, and it might be the best decision you make this week. See you on the next one.